Hi, everyone. We're talking tech information. Now, medium.com is a site that most people don't know they need to check out. And that's why I wanted to do this presentation. I want to show you guys how the presentation works, how the site works, and how things within the site work. We're going to go through a bunch of information, mostly on medium.com itself. But I do have the slides available if you want to do this later on with some screenshots so you remember what I talked about. So let's start with what is Medium. Medium's kind of tech phrase, if you want, is curious minds welcome. It's a site for readers, for writers, and for anyone who wants to learn. That sounds real high and mighty. What it really means is that anybody can write for Medium as long as they're willing to set up an account. And anyone can read on Medium as long as they're willing to set up an account. The side effect that most people don't think about is that you can also learn on Medium and you can respond on Medium, whether you are a writer or not. So we're going to step through things like what Medium is and how you set up your profile and such, the major pieces of the site, stories, responses, and series. We're going to talk about tagging people. We're going to talk about searching. And as we have time, we'll talk about how to write a good comment, which I'm guessing some of you already know, and how to connect with authors. So here we go. Let's talk Medium. And this will be about the last slide you see, because right now I'm going to switch to Medium itself. But keep in mind this line. Medium is a place where curious minds are welcome. The idea behind Medium is to give you more content resources than you know exist. And I'll tell you, as a Medium reader and a Medium writer, it really works. There are a ton of topics, everything from techie stuff, the most futuristic stuff like BitChain and virtual technology, VR technology, to politics, to poetry and short stories. And there's no limit to what you can find. So this page you're seeing here is the Medium Getting Started page. I wanted to show you this just so you can see what's going on, but I want to move forward now to who is Medium. This is the Wikipedia article on Medium, and I'm bringing this up for this line right here. Medium is an online publishing platform developed by Evan Williams, you may know him as Ev, and launched in August 2012. So it's a fairly new site. It does not have much advertising on it. The advertising that you will see is done by actual writers, not by the website. And it's open for just about everybody. Now, in case you don't know who Evan Williams is, who Ev is, we're going to switch to his profile here. Ev was the co-founder of Twitter. So if you've heard the name Ev before, that's where it comes from. One of the things that drew me to Medium in the first place was the fact that Ev actually answers Medium questions on Medium and on Twitter. You can see right here, you are connected to his Twitter account, and you can actually talk to him directly. You can see here's a response from him. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but I wanted you to see the person who founded this site is still involved in the site. So what does Medium give you? When you first go into Medium, you're going to be asked to sign up. It's a pretty easy process. You either sign up with Twitter, with Facebook, or with a separate email. Once you've signed up, Medium will tell you things it thinks you might like to read. Now, at the beginning, this information is based off of what people like. It's not based off of any data or anything like that until you start reading and you start commenting and liking. Once you start reading and commenting, which, by the way, I'm here as the APCUG account. I have my own account as well, and we'll see that in a little bit. But because the APCUG account has a few articles about today's conference, Medium understands that I am already interested in content about conferences and content about technology and about the virtual world. So the first things it gives you as things you might like are pieces about technology, pieces about cybersecurity, and pieces about artificial intelligence. There's a lot more. It keeps going and going and going. But once you're in and you click the More button, see if it's going to work today, you will get specific stuff just for you. Now, I have found that most of this stuff just for you isn't really targeted at the beginning. And that's okay, because part of the power of Medium is that it learns who you are and what you like to read, and who your readers are and what they like to read. So what I want to do now, if you're all good with it, is go to my profile and show you how the profiles are put together and how it works. And excuse me a second, I was catching up on my own slides to make sure I don't miss anything. So the first thing you see when you go to someone's profile is their name, their quick bio, an image of them, if they're editors on publications, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and how many people are following them, and how many people, well, how they are connected to Medium. In this case, we are connected to Medium for the APCUG thing. We are not connected to Kathy Jacobs. As of now, the profile Kathy Jacobs has no connection to the profile APCUG. But if you look at this little button right here in the middle of the screen that says follow, on that follow button, you have the option to block this user or report this user. That's really useful since there is spam out there. But I can also click this follow button, and now APCUG is following the user Kathy Jacobs. If I skip to the APCUG profile and refresh it, you will see this number going from 7 followings to 8 followings, because I am now following them. Before we move on to the content, I want to talk to you about this little stuff up here in the corner. This corner is one of the places you want, one of the sets of parts of the screen you want to use frequently. First off, it's got a picture of your profile so you know which profile is logged in. That's good for finding your stats, finding stories you've bookmarked, all kinds of things like that. The second thing, this bell here, is actually the notifications that have come through for this profile. For example, if somebody responds to the profile, if somebody claps for it, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or if somebody starts following you. The third button you're used to seeing from all over the web, and that's this magnifying glass. And as it is in other places, that is your search button. And we will be doing some searching in a little bit. So let's look at APCUG and look at their settings. As I said, this is the APCUG account. It's pretty new. It doesn't have a lot of stuff on it. It's only been out there a few weeks, and it's only got 3 articles written. But there are things you can do in your settings to control who sees it. So if I go to my icon and go to settings, you can see here that I can set up what the email is. And if you could sign up with either Twitter, Facebook, or an email account. If you sign up with Twitter or Facebook, you can then go in and edit your email to be the email address you want to be, even if that isn't your email address for Facebook or for Twitter. The second thing here on the settings page is why we're doing settings so early. Medium membership. Close to the first of the year, Medium decided as a company that it wanted to go to a new way to earn money. Instead of doing ads, they decided to do an experiment where they give readers the option to join Medium for a rate, and then they could see everything on the site. If you're not a Medium member, you can see about 85% of the site. If you're interested in stuff that requires a Medium membership, it's easy to join. You come to your settings and you click to turn on your Medium membership. A Medium membership is $5 a month. For what you're getting, that's pretty cheap. For me, I am not a Medium member, and neither is APCUG, because at the moment, it's not worth it for us. Most of that is because I am an experienced Medium user. You may find that there is content you want to get to that says it's member only. In that case, you would want to join. Once you've decided about membership, you can get notification. You can decide what you want to get for notifications. I like this option for notifications when there is information available on stories and publications. If I write something and somebody leaves a comment, I like getting the notification of that comment. Other people don't. Social notifications is not what it appears. To the first glance, it seems to me, if you're on a social media platform and somebody mentions you about Medium, they'll contact you. That's not what it means. What it means is exactly this. If someone that you are following or someone who is following you interacts with you, replies to something you wrote, likes something you wrote, mentions something you wrote in another article or mentions you in another article, you want to get those notifications, turn on social notifications. If you want to get information about when anyone, not just your network, but anyone mentions you on Medium, that's what the difference between Medium mentions and social mentions. Social is your network. Medium can be set to all network or off. The rest of this is stuff that you'll be interested in later, but you won't right now, so we're just going to mention it real quick. This is if you want to get digests every day of who you read, who you write. If you've got top content in a specific area, they'll send you a notification on that. And if there's changes in the product, they'll email you. The rest of that is not as interesting as necessary. Or as interesting as the other pieces. So let's go look in detail at my profile, mostly because it's got more information on it than APCUG's does. As I said, the top of the profile, or the top of your own page, is pretty basic information. Who are you? How do you define yourself? And an image of you. If you have your Twitter account attached to your Medium account, the profile and the picture will come from your Medium account, or from your Twitter account. If your Twitter account is not connected, but your Facebook account is, it will use the information shared from your Facebook account. Once you get past the top stuff, the next information is what this person is an editor of, what publications, and whether you're a top writer in anything. And you can see right now, I'm a top writer in poetry. That means I publish on poetry frequently enough, and enough people read my stuff that it's considered in the top 20%. Next chunk is how many people follow you, how many people you follow, how many people follow you, and your Twitter and Facebook information. For the rest of the information on the profile is all about what you have done on the site. It starts with this profile's featured item and then gives you their latest pieces or responses. You can also see just the latest pieces. These are not responses. These are just flat out pieces. Or you can see the responses you've made. If you want to see who likes your stuff, you go to highlights. And this is really nice when you're trying to decide whether to follow someone or not. Because if someone's written a bunch of stuff and their readers haven't highlighted any of it, it may be that it's not worth your time yet to read that information. But if you go through their highlights and people have highlighted sections of several pieces, then you can see what they've written and what you can like or not like. Now, if I go to an article that I wrote, actually, let's do this from APCUG because it makes more sense. I'm going to come back up here to our figure and go to our profile for APCUG. Now, if I go to our pinned post, you can see this post is all about today's conference. If you look at this post, it looks like it's just text and a couple of images. But there's more here than you know. If you look at this left-hand column here, this is the interactions you can do from this piece. One of the pieces of information is that you can bookmark this. And yes, I'm starting from the bottom to the top. You'll understand why when we get to the top. The second thing is if your Facebook account is connected, you can share this on Facebook. If your Twitter account is connected, you can share this on Twitter. And then we come to these clapping hands here. This is that piece I skipped on the other page. We're used to thinking about click the heart to say I like something. Medium, as an organization, wanted to have more views into how much do people like it. So recently, like in the last week or week and a half, they have rolled out an option to clap for articles. And when you clap for an article, it means I like this article and this is how much I like it. So if I click here, you'll see I can't clap my own article because I wrote it. But if we go to an article by someone else, back to one of Kathy Jacobs' articles, and I scroll down, you can see that hand is now green. That says that I can click on it. It also says that I have gotten on this article 212 claps. Sounds like a lot. It can be a lot or not a lot, because any given person can give 100 claps at any given time. So if I click this clap button right now, if I click it once, it gives 1 or 2. But if I were to click it a few times, it would give me 1 clap for every time I clicked it. And yes, there have been the comments made about how that could be changed. But we won't go there for right now. There's another piece to this profile that you need to know about. Actually, I'm going to leave that for later. The other piece is how you search for someone, and we will leave that for the person for later when we talk about how to search. So we've talked through really quickly how to set up a basic profile. Now we're going to get to the meat of Medium, because we're going to go to our icon here and go down to customize your interests. And this is why APCUG doesn't have any interests set up yet. I didn't want to go through this until today. I wanted you to see what we're doing. When you come to customize your interests, you can pick from topics, people, and publications. Topics are the same as tags. People are people who write, and publications are a special kind of grouping of stories or articles. Stories are unique individual things. Publications are groups of things that the editor of the publication has decided makes sense to run together. So let's look at people to follow. Notice that it filled in the people we are following already. And it fills in for us the publications we're following. But we want to know what people are out there that write things that Medium thinks we're interested in. There is big discussion in the Medium world whether you follow topics first or follow people. If you know who's writing on Medium and you want to follow them, follow the people, by all means. But if you don't know for sure, follow the topics. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go through and customize what topics we're interested in. We're going to pick humor, because I know everybody's got a good sense of humor. We're going to come down to the industry stuff and follow the work stuff. Notice when I'm clicking on these, the plus sign is changing to a check mark. Now, here in Innovation and Tech, because we're a tech organization, we're interested in almost everything. So you can see the first few have already been checked. We're going to check JavaScript and math and all the rest of these.
You just uncheck. There you go.
All right. Then you can keep going through all the different categories of what else is here. And believe me, there is nothing in this world that hasn't been written yet on Medium, including the whole world. So once you've picked your topics, you can go to people. And here's why I do the topics first, is because now Medium knows a little bit about who I am and what I'm looking for, and knows who to put up as people to suggest to me. And that's what's here in the right-hand column. Now, notice that there's a whole bunch of places here that I am already following. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Those are people who interacted with me or who Medium thought I would be interested in no matter what. When you start on Medium, you will always automatically follow Medium staff. It's just the way it goes. But you can pick other people to follow. For example, the Computer History Museum sounds really good, so I'm going to click follow on them. As we let time go by, we can see more and more people that are recommended and topics that are recommended for us to follow. And as you click these, Medium will learn more about who you are and what you want to read about. You can always go read about anything you want, but these are the things that it's going to show you first. So all this is really interesting, and you needed to know it to get it set up. But now what I want you to go look, what I want to show you is how this actually works. So I'm going to click on the search button here, and I'm going to say medium. I want to search for technology information. You can see it started auto-populating with information, but when I actually did the search, it showed us information we didn't have already. It shows us specific stories that we may want to read that have been tagged with this. It can show us people that are connected to technology, publications that are connected to technology, and tags. And tags are where the power really starts to show through here. If you look at our right-hand column, you can see that it's pulled up some tags here based on technology. These are tags that are commonly seen with technology. So you could go quickly, easily click a couple of these and get to the pieces about that item and decide if there's more things. Now notice this little box that showed up here. Follow this tag. When I click on this, it says I not only want to follow technology, I want to follow tech. If I go to startups, again it asks, oh, do you want to follow startups? Yep, I want to follow startups. In addition to current information, you can see archived information and top information. So when you're looking at a tag, a search result, you get 5 items that you in this middle column. Sometimes this column is on the left, sometimes it's on the right. It depends on where you're going from. If you've gone from the search, this column of top stories, etc., will be on the left. If you've clicked a related tag, it will be on the right. So here, first thing we have is top stories. These are stories that have the most claps, the most responses, and the most views, or some combination thereof. These are stories that top stories are stories that can happen at any time. Latest stories, on the other hand, are stories that have been published in the last few days. So if you want to see what's the most recent thing being said about something, search for it in the tags and then go to latest stories. And you can see here, there's a few stories here on tech. If you want to see older stuff, click on the archive. And the archive tends to be at least a month old, but it will default to things that didn't show up in latest stories. You can change whether it's by most read, by oldest, or by latest. And this little icon at the top, this little area here on the top for all, lets you see all items for a year. So let's say you're writing a computer history piece and you want to know if anybody's ever looked at if anybody published something on computer history in 2014. We're going to go and search for computer history. We'll go to its tag, and we'll go to its archive. And now you can see there are articles here from 2006 through 2017. If I click on 2006, it takes me to the earliest articles that were put into Medium about computer history. More useful is probably one of these from 2014. Now you can see what people wrote about computer history in 2014, which is kind of meta if you think about it. I'm asking people to give me what they wrote about computer history during computer history. I've found, though, that this is a really good place to find information and answers for people who have questions. You see here that we've got the Internet of Things as one of the related tags. If you look at the archive for Internet of Things, you can go back and look at the early history of Internet of Things and learn how it started and what came next. Now, I've mentioned publications a couple of times already, so I want to show you one. This is a publication called, as you can see, Code Like a Girl. This publication deals with publishes articles by people who are writing about women in the computer industry. You can see there's several different topics. We do this in two languages, and you can submit your story. You can follow them on Facebook or Twitter, and you can follow them. That's kind of interesting. Oh, what is this little box here? So since this is a publication, it asks you, you're following them, do you want them to be able to communicate with you? If a publication chooses to, once or twice, once a month or once a week, they can send their followers a letter that says, this is what happened on our publication this week. These are the best articles, these are the newest articles, this is what we've had turnover for staff, things like that. So if you check this box, you'll get to see those letters. If you don't check this box, you'll never see them in your email, but you can go look at them on the site. Most publications try and keep their content scoped down to either topics written in a certain way or things written about a certain topic. So let's come down here to one of the articles that I know has got some interesting information on it. This is an article that I clicked on the picture that goes with it and got to this article from June 29th on being a female program manager at Microsoft. So here we've got all of what this author had to say. We can see she's gotten 151 claps. And here you can see as I clap on them, the number goes up and the total goes up. I could share this or I could bookmark this. In the middle of the article, you can, as a writer, pull out quotes. But let's say you want to look at, you think this sentence here is awesome. If you select it, Medium will help you. It'll let you highlight it. It will let you comment on it. Or it'll let you tweet the link to this article with this as the text for the tweet. That's really powerful because if you are looking for information on, say, technology and somebody uses a word you don't know, you can select the sentence it's in, tweet it, and in the tweet ask, what does this mean? And people will answer you on Twitter and tell you what's going on. Or you can comment on that piece in the comments and have somebody reading the article answer you. Now, if we come down to the bottom of the article, you can see that this article has 5 tags. Tags are information that the writer puts on the article in order for people to know where it should be seen. So for example, in this article, if you were looking for information about Microsoft, this article would show up. If you were looking about information about women in tech, this article would show up. Same with role models. A writer can only put 5 tags on any given piece. You can put up to 5. I strongly recommend that anybody writing content use 5. At the bottom here, we have the show your support information. We have the information about the publication and the author. And we have at the very bottom, or this part of the bottom, we have 3 articles, 3 stories that have been written that are related to this in some way. Brag Day, science, how I went from sociology to coding, why I almost left coding. Underneath that are responses. I've mentioned responses a couple of times, so now that we're looking at them, let me explain. Almost everything within Medium is considered a story. A story can be a direct story, or a response story. A direct story is one where you just post it as new information and people come and read it. That's what we were just looking at. A response is a story that was written in response to another piece. And when you go to a response, you will see at the very top of the response information about the article being responded to, the response itself, and information about the response. And if there are more responses, yes, you'll see more responses. The response header only goes one level back, but you can go down. I've seen response levels 10, 15 deep. Come on, catch up with me. Sorry about, there we go. At the bottom of every piece that has responses, you can see the responses and you can see the conversations that they've had in the responses. You can also write your own response and have someone read it. I see we have a few comments in the queue. Is it worth taking a few minutes to ask them and answer them right now?
If I'm going to talk to you, I need to do that. No, they're just people giving their names in user groups. You don't have any questions.
Okay, sounds good. Now remember I said mostly this was about stories and responses? Well, in the actuality, there is a third kind of publication, of piece you can write, and it's called a series. These are on the mobile app only, so the iOS app and the Android app, and they let you see pieces that are mostly, are images or text or combinations. And I've got here some example pages from a series, a place where there's a series from Medium that says, welcome to the series. And this little updated up here says that since the last time I looked at the series, they've published more information on it. Another one here that I looked at was, so you think you know about net neutrality. The image, the first page, a middle page, and a last page. And if you are on one of the apps, you can go and read these. Unfortunately, if you aren't on an app, you can't read them. I'm not a fan of series for a number of reasons. Mostly because you can't see them everywhere and there's no data about them. That. I'm just reviewing my notes to see if I've missed anything yet. Oh, one of the things I did want to mention. When you see these tags here that the author or the writer has added to the piece, they're clickable. So if I wanted to go see what else there was out there on women in tech, I could click women in tech. I would leave this article and I would go to things tagged with women in tech. But if you notice here, it gave me first things that are tagged women in tech in Code Like a Girl. You have two abilities to scope your searches. If you're inside a publication, you can search, the default search is items done in that publication. Once you're searching inside that publication, you can search elsewhere and go and see what else there is. So I'm going to try this. They've been playing with this the last day or two. So down here where it says more on Medium, women in tech, when I click here, it should go to a search page result for women in tech. There we go. Like most companies, when they changed things, they broke things. So here we are in women in tech. We can see the tags that are related to it, the top stories, the archive, all the rest of it. And this is interesting. We've got a top writers piece. So if we click on top writers, we can see, if we're interested in women in tech, who are some women writers or some writers about this topic that we might want to follow, that we want to read their stuff. Now, has anybody noticed that as I've been cursing over some of these names and figures, names and icons, we've gotten this little box up that says the person's, the name of the account and then some information. This is called your mini profile. You can see this over any writer that's on Medium and every reader. And I use that really quick. I'll tell you in a moment where I use that. But this information shows you a quick glance at who it is, linked to their actual profile, their bio, their website, and what their top stories are, and how many people follow them. Now, if I click on that website or that profile, it'll take us to that profile. But say that person hasn't written anything yet. Where it has those top stories will be blank, or we'll have one or two if they've only got a few things out there. So if you go and look at somebody and they don't have anything out there, they are a reader, not a writer. I'm hoping that makes sense. It's kind of a sticky thing to get around. When we went to Women Who Code, and remember, right now we're looking at things from the viewpoint of the APCUG Medium account, it tells us, hey, we know that you're following Kathy Jacobs, so we want to let you know this account is also followed by Kathy Jacobs. It builds up inside of Medium, inside their databases, what you might think of as a crosshatch net of, I'm following these tags, the people that I'm following follow these tags. Are there things that the people I follow or the tags I follow themselves that I don't yet? Oh, hey, maybe you should tell me that. That's a really great way to find information on just about any topic that is out there. Check a few people, check the profiles of a few people who are followed by people you follow, and you'll learn more. Now, I'm hoping that the searching stuff has made sense. If you want to see another example of the search, send a note to David and he will let me know. Now, as somebody who's reading the site, so let's pick one of her articles here. I have a number of ways to get information to the author or the editor of this publication or the writer of this piece. First off, I can follow them and they will get told that I followed them and hey, maybe that's something we should do something about. At the bottom of the page and on the left-hand side, you can see I can clap at them, I can comment, or I can share them. The best way to connect with somebody who writes something you like or something you have questions about is to write a response. Now, most of writing a response is things that by now we know how to do. But I want to give a few moments here on responses that get read. Good responses engage the reader. So when you write something, part of what you want to make sure you're doing is asking something or telling something or being interesting enough that the writer will want to reply to you. Secondarily, you need to make sure that your response is something people want to see and want to read. You remember this article we were looking at earlier about what is a VTC and what's being presented? My husband Bruce responded to this article for me so I'd have a test. So he responded, sounds like fun. I could even wear pajamas. In a normal situation, that's not a really great response, except it is humorous. And so as a writer, I would come in and give a reply with a laugh at them. I do recommend editing your comments so that they make sense and they aren't all caps. There's one other point with responses. There's a kind of response that is prevalent out on the web called Me Too. It's when you respond to a piece just for the sake of saying, I'm here and I read this. You don't really have anything to say about it. You just want people to know you're here. I strongly recommend you stay away from Me Too responses on Medium. Because if you get too many of your responses that are Me Too in one word or another and aren't interesting, people will stop following you and it will become harder to find the information you want. Now, because Bruce added this, I could even wear pajamas, this has enough humor that it wouldn't cost him much in how people look at him. But you'll notice he has not gotten any claps at all yet. Since he hasn't got any claps, this one's not going to go up very far. If we go back to the Code Like a Girl articles, and I'm actually going to go back to where we were on the other article. Okay, so if we go to one of these articles in Code Like a Girl, you can see a few people have clapped it. And yes, that's as strange of a saying as you think it is. We're all still getting used to it. Nobody's responded to this one yet. I'm trying to find one that's got a lot of responses to show you a cool thing about the responses. This one will have it. So you see how here where there are lots of responses? Oh, these are all conversations. If you have lots of responses, you have a thing called manage responses. And of course, because I want to show you this, I can't find one. Here we go. Here's the manage responses. Manage responses is not just a tool for the writer. It is also a tool for the reader. So if I come down here and say manage responses, we're going to try this again. There we go. At the top of the responses list, so this is a list of everybody who's responded, sorted. I've got it sorted by date. Oldest first, you could go newest first. You could show responses that are hidden. But you can also see the number of responses and how many people have read this article. And these four numbers here are very interesting pieces of technology. Medium, when you go look at an article, counts that as a view. So this article has 56 views. If the article takes longer than a minute and a half to read, then it starts computing how many people have read the article. Views are you just went to it and you looked at the top at least. Reads are people who read all the way to the bottom of the article. So for this case, there are 12 reads on this article and 56 views. And that doesn't really surprise me because the answer's in the beginning of the article. But this number here as a reader can help you a lot. If you go look at the response data for an author that you're trying to decide whether to follow or not, check out the read ratio on their article, on their responses. Because a 21% read ratio is kind of It's not really great. It's not a lot of percentage of people that went clear to the bottom reading this stuff. It will probably tell you that these articles aren't generally good to read. So I strongly hope that I've introduced you to enough of Medium to intrigue you enough to go look. There's a lot of content out here. There's a lot of information. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you enjoy going and playing with Medium and learning what's out there.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Do appreciate it. I do have one question.
Certainly.
I noticed when you're going back in the archives, you had stuff that was one from 1970.
Yep.
For the computer history. How did they get that stuff in there? Because I assume that program wasn't around by then.
I've been waiting on, that's why I stopped for the questions, because I thought somebody would ask that. In the early versions of Medium, you could put in articles from anywhere, literally anywhere, and it would pick up the date that it was originally published. So for example, if you brought your blog stuff in, it would pick up the dates from your blog. If you picked up information from an older site, it would pick up that date. At the very beginning, you could actually set the date yourself. Now what happens is that now if you import your blog into Medium so that you can share it better, it will take the date of the article, but it will also give you, as the writer of those articles, the option to set the date to when it was first written or when it was imported into Medium.
Okay. So do people import a lot?
Some people do, yes. I know people who have imported several thousand pieces. I have not yet imported anything from my blog because I'm trying to decide if any of it is still relevant. And by the way, if you want to follow me on Medium, my handle there, like it is everywhere else, is Call Kathy. So you can go to medium.com/@callkathy. You can go to medium.com/@APCUG to get the APCUG stuff. Personally, I write poetry, I write short stories, and I write about tech. I've got other things I will be writing eventually, but I write on a pretty wide variety of things right now, so you might find it interesting.
So they make their money only through subscription sales?
Right now, they make their money only through subscription sales. I kind of didn't touch on that as much as I probably should have, because there are two ways you can subscribe to Medium. You can subscribe to Medium itself for $5 a month, or whatever that turns into, minus $5 a year. Or a publication can have members, and they can say, if you want to get all of our content, you need to pay us $5 a month to help pay our expenses. And then you'll have articles that you have access to first. Medium, being a Medium member does not automatically get you into being a member of all the publications. And what a lot of the publications have gone to, and a lot of the writers have gone to, is the patron system, which says, I'm willing to pay a little bit extra, a couple dollars a month or such, to see your information first before you make it live on Medium. And for most of the writers, that's turning out much better than the publication memberships ever was.
Okay.